We're going to go ahead and bump up a story that needs discussing on the idea that maybe they might be changing the Hall of Presidents. This is out of the Wrap, and an author named Drew Taylor there from the Wrap. And there they are, Kermit, Fozzie, and Grover, and there's, Waldorf and Statler all looking over there at the bunny. I'm just going to summarize this article here for you guys because it's a great article. It's well researched. It quotes many people who openly hate us, but I don't care. He's correct in what is being said in the article, regardless of that aspect here. They basically intended on getting rid of Muppet Vision 3D, and then at the last minute, they removed all of the language that indicated that they were getting rid of Muppet Vision 3D. I don't know if that means they were hiding the fact that they are actually getting rid of Muppet Vision 3D, or if they have changed their mind about Muppet Vision 3D. Vash, I can see what some of the things that you're preparing on the back end here. There are very few places that what is the abomination under consideration here? Oh, Monstropolis.
Monsters Inc. land, yes.
That's right.
It sounded like you called it rot, and that made a lot more sense.
Right. So looking at this one right here, looks a lot like the area right outside of Muppet Vision 3D. Vash,
Water tower.
Marvin, you wanna point out any details here?
Well, you got the building in the back there with the green on top of it. That looks a lot like Pizza Rizzo. There is a water tower over by the Muppet Theater that is painted, I believe. Even this brick building in the front here, it almost kind of looks like the Tap House.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It used to be the writer's stop, and I loved the writer's stop as a writer, but they got rid of that. So, just completing the utter destruction of this area. But yeah, it very much looks that, and like that right there on the right, that looks like Grand Avenue with a paint job.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. This area right here is where Marvin is speaking about. If we go ahead, this is Disney's Hollywood Studios, obviously, and the Muppet Vision 3D Theater is right down there to the south, and then just north of that you have this very small sliver of Grand Avenue or the Streets of America.
Yeah, it was where they had the Osborne lights.
A lot of people have been speculating that this is the prime location that this Monstropolis would take up residence in.
If you're looking at a Disney park map, this is what would look like the far end of the park. If you're looking at a Hollywood Studios map, it's oriented south to north instead of north to south, or basically south to north. So obviously Galaxy's Edge right there. You have to pass through this little area right here, and you could walk right past Muppet Vision 3D. And if you're not looking to your left, you wouldn't notice that it's there.
Absolutely.
It will be interesting to see what happens permit-wise. There was a story, today, saying that this whole get rid of the river and put in the cars, they've already started filing building permits with the authorities. So maybe because they're going to do that sooner, this will take a while to happen. But the first inkling we might get is a permit.
Yeah, I think
do the demo at least.
So up here, and you're correct there. Looking at that top left corner right here, the animation courtyard, and I don't know where this is going, so I'm speculating on other people's public speculation at this point. There are a lot of people that are saying that this is going in the animation courtyard. I'm going to tell you a very good reason that I've heard that it won't go in the animation courtyard is that those blue buildings right there, those backstage offices, quote unquote, backstage offices. Well, that must be just like crew for the parks, right? Mm-hmm. I'm hearing that there's some very nice, cushy offices in the animation building there. Yep. And executives would have to be displaced from their offices in order for Monsters Inc. or Monstropolis or whatever they end up calling this, in order for that to go into the animation courtyard area. A bunch of people would have to give up pretty cool digs, I'm going to say. If they're being altruistic, they have to be altruistic as a group and kick themselves out of their own offices for an extended period of time in order to put it there. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's something to consider. The fact that we know that Muppet Vision 3D is already being considered for removal, I think that's a bad sign for that bottom right corner right there. Marvin?
But when you look at that bottom right-hand corner, that box that would be enough room to hold Monsters Incorporated, that's not just Muppet Vision. That's not just the Muppet area. That includes Star Tours. Star Tours is that building off to the right side of that box there. And that's the thing where I'm like, I don't see that ever happening. Like, I can't imagine people would, like, this isn't like, getting rid of Maelstrom, like this is Star Tours. Star Tours and Muppet Vision together make up this amazing little area. I can't imagine that level of short sight. I mean, I know they're short sighted, but that would be egregious.
If they push out into the parking lot behind Galaxy's Edge, they could put Star Tours over there. Just pick it up and move it.
You would think so, yeah. But I mean, the short-sightedness of a lot of these moves is just appalling.
Well, obviously, the other place under consideration here would be Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, which is, I'm going to say, great. But I can also understand why Disney would. Well, he's fighting against those World War II guys in the stunt show. It's also very romance driven, so I can see why they would want to get rid of that. These people who hate beauty and hate fun and hate the past, I can understand why they would very much want to get rid of Indiana Jones. I'm not saying that is what they're doing here.
Yes, and it also reminds you of back when they knew what to do with Indiana Jones.
Which
we lost.
Look, it'd be a horrible decision to have to make, but if I had to decide between Muppets and Indiana Jones, I mean, it's an easy decision.
Especially
Indiana
with
Jones
the new
goes.
Indiana Jones thing going in at Animal Kingdom. So
I do want to point out this one clip real quick.
Where? Where? Where, Dwight?
Seems like you already know where.
I love that clip. Now we do have a little bit of an update to the story, Jonas. Did you hear the news?
Oh, we do, do we? Okay, go ahead. We'll talk about that before we talk about where we think the Muppets might be headed, depending on another issue that Disney is a little too involved in. We got a story on that too.
Wow, fantastic. Looks like Disney legend Josh Gad actually voiced his support for Muppets amid Monsters, Inc. land rumors at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This by WDW Magic here. Disney legend Josh Gad has taken to social media to express his concerns over the future of the beloved Muppets at Disney's Hollywood Studios. With the recent announcements hinting at a Monsters, Inc. land potentially replacing the Muppets Courtyard, Gad's comments have added a significant voice to the ongoing discussions amongst fans. Gad, best known for his role as Disney's Olaf, obviously, as part of the Frozen franchise, posted on Threads today simply saying, "The Muppets must be protected at all costs." Mm-hmm. Very interesting right there. So this is definitely getting some headway.
He's so plugged into the company. He's such a pixie duster. He's such a huge part of what they do, and he does so much with them. If he's saying it, that lets me think that it's safe.
Yep, I'm surprised here to see the snowman grow a spine. I will say that.
That's why I don't think it. That's why I think it's safe, because I don't think he will. I don't think he's capable of growing that spine.
Now, there is obviously
too here.
There's something else to consider here, and I've seen a lot of speculation about if Disney and the Stories Matters group, they don't like anything that Disney makes right now, and unfortunately they work for the Disney company, and eventually they will destroy everything that's in the park, and even the things that they decide are not offensive right now because they're replacing the previous things. Eventually they will realize that those things are offensive. I'm going to cite the year 1984, the book actually 1984 in this. Eventually the things that are inoffensive become offensive. So I think that the Hall of Presidents right now, with its problems, and if we could bring up the clip of the last update to the Hall of Presidents, that would be really great. The last minute change to the animatronic. For those of you who are not aware of the Hall of Presidents, it is a quaint little attraction in Liberty Square. We also think that Liberty Square, again, this is speculation, not rumor. This is not based on something that we have heard internally. I would bet the Stories Matters group is not really that in love with the idea of a Liberty Square that praises the founding of this country, which they view in a very negative light. And this is a great attraction, by the way, despite the fact that the number of animatronics required in order to pull this show off has grown every 4 to 8 years. The Hall of Presidents is a rousing tribute to all countries of the world. Just kidding. The best one in the entire world, at least for now. America. You go through and it literally names every single president of the United States, puts a spotlight on their animatronic. It's about the founding of the country, the importance of the Union, and all of this. And the sitting president is the one who gets focused on and does a speech. Generally speaking, Vash, I need to ask you this. Do they do a new speech every time, or do they just take it from existing archival audio?
Historically, it has been a news speech prepared and written specifically for this attraction at Walt Disney World. Magic Kingdom original dating back to October 1st, 1971, and a long-standing desire by Walt Disney in order to provide this show. There's a quote out there saying, I want to do the Hall of Presidents, essentially every single president, sitting president, and previous president represented. I don't care how much it costs. And I believe he said something to the effect of whether we have to find a sponsor for it or whether we have to pay a separate admission for it. I just want to go ahead and do that. So this was a long-standing dream of Walt Disney's to present this show.
And nowadays, the current president they take the oath of office on stage. George Washington gives them the oath of office. And I think that I only saw the Biden one once. I only saw the Trump one once. I think they do a little speech. I know I very clearly remember Clinton and Bush doing big, long speeches. I don't remember. Obama was the one that started doing the oath of office.
So obviously they're going through all these presidents. That list will only get longer. There'll be more quote unquote animatronics to maintain. They can be simpler if they're standing, and it's not a huge requirement on them. They don't all have to be amazing. But there is something that we want to point out. This has never been officially confirmed, or has it? Vash, you can correct me on this. It seems that Imagineering was pretty certain that Hillary Clinton was going to win the 2016 election. So when you look at that Donald Trump animatronic, I just got to say he has an uncanny resemblance to the Rodham family.
Yes, he does.
Especially the body. If you imagine the body in one of those pantsuits, they may have done something with the head, but the rest of it was left pretty much alone.
It's so funny. They thought they were going to get get a lead on it and just stop making it. Oh my God. It's so terrible.
Here's what they can do if they take it out. They can make it smaller, and they can put Walt and Jim Henson and maybe John Lasseter and call it the Hall of Has-Beens.
Well, have you seen what they had to do when they put the Trump animatronic in? The way they had to rework that theater?
No, I have not seen it with Trump in there.
So they had to remove, I believe, the first couple of rows and build an orchestra pit. So basically, so people couldn't have access to the stage, and the orchestra pit is like spiked.
Well, they did it, to keep protesters from attacking the statue.
Yeah, and there's also now a security guard in there at all times.
Yep.
So I guess they were worried about people. And I guess that's either, from whatever side has their president up there at the time, the other side, throwing things at him or whatever. But then we've always had the problem when people would catcall Bill Clinton or they would boo George Bush. So, it's always kind of been an issue.
When Biden was installed into the Hall of Presidents, you could see that they did update the Trump audio animatronic. But now going from speaking role to a non-speaking role, you can see the updates there. He's a little bit more of the 45th president, in my view.
But on the plus side, the Biden animatronic is permanently a B mode.
Yep. I'm now. No topping that right there. So
I was going to say the plus side, the Trump animatronic is plus size. So
when we're talking about this attraction here, this is one that Disney obviously has problems with. Politics have become such an issue in the United States. Maybe they need to do it in a way where they throw it to somebody like George Washington. But of course, they would have a problem with someone like George Washington. I'm sure they have a problem with Lincoln at this point because they have problems with everyone in our history at this point. And if they choose anyone from the last, I'm going to say 20 to 25 years, they're going to have a problem on their hands. Got to go back farther than Reagan, I'm going to say. Yeah.
Well, they would go to FDR, I think.
So it's interesting because Walt Disney, we know that he's being placed in the Opera House at Disneyland. We'll obviously get to that story some other time here on That Park Place. However, it's interesting because there was a petition by many Republicans in order to save Lincoln back in the 1970s, actually, when Disney announced that they were going to replace the Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln show with a Walt Disney show, not dissimilar to what they're doing today. Very, very interesting. It was due to those Republicans that Lincoln still stays, and well, it's still here, and it's crazy, Jonas, that Lincoln is going to be playing in rotation with Walt Disney. Pretty fascinating stuff.
Right. We're going to be talking that very soon. So there's an upcoming election. I don't know if you guys realize this, but this year they're going to be changing the president of the United States. Not a lot of people are tracking this story, but we like to bring you the current events here on That Park Place when we can. So I think that the Walt Disney Company is waiting to find out how this is all going to turn out before they decide what they're going to do with the Hall of Presidents. Because there have been some rumblings out there on social media to say, well, if you're getting rid of the Muppets at the parks, where else are you going to put them? This has been, obviously the Muppets have been mistreated, at least since 2011. There was a pretty good case to be made that they mistreated the Muppets before 2011. Essentially, and Marvin, you wanted to talk about this. Is there something you want to say at this point?
Well, I personally think they're going to put the Walt Disney animatronic in there for the Walt Disney A Magical Life. I think they would take that concept, but no, I'm interested to hear what you think is going to go there.
Oh, well, the Hall of Presidents, I think the Walt A Magical Life, it's possible that they would want to do that here if it were successful. I say here as if I'm still sitting there in Orlando. I think that in this case, they would probably replace it with something akin to that old Muppets show, the Muppets
Great
going
moments in
through-
history.
Yeah, great moments in history. I think that if Biden stays in office, they don't have to do an update to the ride. If Trump gets back in office, I think that this company is so entrenched that they're not going to put him back in the spotlight there. And I don't see them picking another person to go in that spot, and on the possibility that it will be Trump and that they'll get flack for it. I think that this one will go down for maintenance at some point in the future and maybe not come back up. And then they will replace that with something at a later date. Wait for it to disintegrate enough that, I guess we can't bring it back. And I think that's where the Muppets might return if Muppet Vision 3D goes the way of the dodo.
But I'm not sure, Jonas. We could have our first female president.
If Cars is a hit, it could be the presidents of NASCAR.
No. If she gets elected, by the way, they will rush to get that animatronic in there.
Absolutely. One could say
thrilled.
It's called a salute to all nations, but mostly America.
Great.
And you will hear that cackling throughout the Magic Kingdom.
Great moments in history, by the way, was a fantastic show.
It is Anna and Matronic. And
my favorite thing about Great Moments with History was the fact that they used actual puppets. They had real puppeteers doing it. It wasn't animatronics. It was just a great show. It had good music. It was funny. For the life of me, I will never understand why they got rid of it.
No.
It was music, and it was funny, and it was good.
And it was American.
Yeah.
that was a highlight from our live stream on That Park Place. Well, the full stream can be accessed by members to the That Park Place YouTube channel. But what about you? What do you think about this very intriguing and fascinating story? Please let us know in the comments below. Like this video if you did like this video. Share us out as it helps us out tremendously against the YouTube algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. T3, BO. Please comment, like, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to That Park Place Podcasts Online, your source for exclusive content and highlights from WDW Pro, The Pro Show, and That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.